Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. It's 6:30 a.m. and price of Bitcoin currently at 71.25, right? So I'm going to make this analysis real quick, and we'll look at some levels that I'm looking at in terms of longing or shorting. For now, I'm still sitting on the sidelines. It's just been very hard to pick a side in this market, been very choppy. So it's best that I sit out when I don't know what the heck is going on in the market. Okay. So first things first, it looks like overnight we did have a nice little bit of a pressure to the upside. I've made it all the way up to about 71, 75 or so. You could clearly see that there was sort of like a descending triangle that was being played right here. In my experience in BTC, those have a higher propensity to break down, but again, only if that's confirmed, right? I told my advantage members that is the first thing that we want to look out for. The break of a marker below, I think it was this one we were looking at right here. So if it was 66.44 and we started closing below that on a 1 hour time frame, that would be your short opportunity. But until then, it was still 50-50, right? We could break up or down. But then on top of that, I think I also stated that if you start waiting for a close above this level right here, once you start seeing a close above that level, we have a higher propensity to break up. Okay, so that's exactly what we did. So people in the Euro and Asia sessions, if you guys did get to watch this analysis, I guess on the advantage side, you got a nice little long from 69.23 up to 71.25. So that's a nice $200 move that you caught. Okay, now for those of you who are kind of sitting on the sidelines like myself, here's kind of how I'm weighing the analysis. Okay, I'm looking at this ascending channel still. All right, and we're still at the bottom half of it. Number one. Okay, number two. Nothing in the exogenous events of coronavirus and the stock market is being uncertain has changed. Although we can make the argument that smaller time frames and the short term has definitely changed a little bit, because we can see right here, okay, that the U.S. stock futures are up, okay, and the Asian and European markets actually closed nicely, okay. So Bitcoin has, a nice momentum from the other markets to actually build off of, and they could push to the upside. Now, the question is, how high are we going to push, right? So we've stated before that, number one, I mean, the big resistance where we consolidated before we drop down is this area right here, around, anywhere between 7.6 all the way to like 81.50. Okay, so we could reach up into that area and still, break down. However, if you want to look for longs, I'd probably say there's a good long opportunity if you long, anywhere in this consolidation period, stop below this wick right here, so 69.70 or so, and then you can start targeting this high right here that we just put in, $7,300, and then this consolidation period right here. Okay, for the most part, I have stayed away from longs. And I'll probably continue to do so, but I'll try to figure out exactly what's going on in price action here. And I'll let my advantage members know exactly if I do take a long. But until then, kind of just going to sit it out. In a period like this where the market is so choppy and the conditions of the market are not matching the events outside, it's usually just something else that's being played at work, or that's, in rather a larger development. And you do not want to trade on the smaller, movements of the market based on the fact that the larger development at play could still be bearish. Given the fact that, again, in a daily time frame, I mean, this is not really bullish. I don't know what to tell you. Just because prices moved up 100% or anything, still doesn't mean it's bullish, right? The major big consolidation period that we had right here before we pushed up, we're well below that, okay? And we're well below the period of, the point of breakdown from this area right here. So you can see right here, this price is at a very critical juncture, right? So I know everyone is probably thinking that you want to get into a trade and you think Bitcoin's going to moon, but the chances of Bitcoin mooning are significantly lower, okay? And even if they go listen, you'll have a good amount of opportunity to um, actually get into a position at a good price with a proper retest. Okay, it's not just gonna go straight up from here. Okay, it's again, yes, it's possible, but the likelihood of that is very slim, right? But does that mean that we can't make shorter trades internally? No, right? We could definitely take long trades in here. Like I said, you could take a long right here, stop below this area, start targeting $7,300 or 7.6 all the way to 8,100. Okay. Now, when it comes to short trades, I would probably say a couple different areas that you could short just above this wick. If we sort of wick up real quick, higher probability that we could get pushed back down. I don't know if I want to bet against the market right now. It's just been so aggressively bullish. The order books are so thin because so many people essentially got wiped out over here. In this entire move up, one thing I've learned is, each of these levels were very strongly defended. Okay, whether it was this one right here around $5,800, or this one over here around $5,900, this one over here $6,200, and this one over here around $6,700. Okay, so the point is that each of these levels were very strongly defended, and I'd probably say that the bulls definitely have the strength right now. Okay, and there's really no question to it, right? But if we start looking on a larger time frame, say the weekly over here, right, we could see clearly that there's not a whole lot that has been accomplished in terms of the weekly. Okay, we're still, again, in that consolidation, we're hitting it as resistance. So if you really, really want to be safe and go long, you got to wait above this area, let this 7,778 area turn into support once we break up, and then you can start riding this up. Okay, again, this is one of those scenarios where, okay, clearly everything we were talking about in the market is in terms of a short buys has been wrong. If we're wrong, then we're wrong up here, get a retest right here, and then start riding this up. Okay, if that happens, we're probably going to go back towards 10,500. But until then, until we remain in this box right here under, okay, there's a higher probability that we go down. I don't know when, and I also don't know how high we can go until we come back down. But I can say with higher certainty that as long as we're in this box right here, nothing has changed. No bearish sentiment, or rather bearish technicals have changed. Okay, I know these candles, pressing up and up, they look great, but again, there's not a whole lot that has changed in the world. There's definitely not a whole lot that has changed in the markets. Okay, so just sort of be careful on that, right? Number two, if you do want to be bullish, if this candle sort of closes higher with higher volume right here, then you have your potential three white soldiers pattern playing out. So yeah, I could say that we might press up a little bit higher towards that 7.6 to 8,100 area. So you could maybe take a long if you start seeing a price or candle close above that marker right there. Okay, so the high of that. But again, we're about $150, $170 away from that, right? So just be careful. Okay, let me see here. Let's check out the S&P 500 E-mini futures. So they're up a decent amount, obviously, right? I was looking at this 1 hour chart yesterday. So you could see the E-mini futures, broke up really nicely overnight as well. Oil itself even, I think broke up just a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so oil even pushed up a little bit, from its open. It had a pretty deep open, but, it kind of cracked that pretty well. So, I don't know. I think markets are definitely picking up in the shorter term. And, I'll have to definitely make some plays on that because the market looks pretty good, I'm not of the opinion that, just because things are bearish in the larger picture that you should always stay bearish. I understand that things could turn around. There are some smaller time frame opportunities. And so I will always be looking for that. I don't want you guys to think that I'm, aggressively bearish or always bearish. I take what the market gives me, okay? And that's really it, right? If the market gives me a good shorting opportunity, I'll take a good shorting opportunity. If it gives me a good longing opportunity, I'll take that too, okay? Um, Going to the Twitter page real quick. I mean, obviously we already understand that, you know, with the QE and the Fed's just gotten crazy. Um, the money supply coming into the market, as you could clearly see, has just been crazy. Um, it's just things are just not really sticking to reality or rationality. So I don't know, like, how anyone can say that these conditions in the market are favorable for bulls, or, you know, Bitcoin is going to go up X amount. If anything, equities might go up and Bitcoin actually might go down. I think there's a higher percentage of that happening. Okay, but I personally think the more probable thing is, you know, possibly at some point in the month of April, equities, oil, Bitcoin, gold, everything is going to start coming down, because I think the only reason we're starting to bounce off just a little bit is, you know, the coronavirus numbers in Europe and Spain are coming down. Not coming down, but they're slowing down rather. Okay, and I think we're building off that news a little bit. Unfortunately, in America, we're still on a huge parabolic uptrend, you know, of our coronavirus numbers. So I don't quite know how we can sort of, I don't know, build off that, but markets are, you know, often irrational nonetheless, right? JP Morgan, you know, they did say that earnings will be down meaningfully this year. We already knew that. And then with a bad recession ahead with financial stress similar to 2008 crisis. I'm actually of the opinion that, you know, I think we're going to have a worse crisis than 2008. But, you know, we'll see. Obviously, at the very least, you know, from the experts, we understand that we're going to see at least a 2008 crisis. And so that means that, you know, if we start going back to that 2008 time, you know, let me see here. Okay. So if we go back all the way over here, right, we pulled the market down from the high over here, almost, oops, that's the time. Here's that right there. We were down almost, you know, 57% or so, right? And you know, this particular market, we're only down about 37% or 35%. So we could have another, you know, 20% move to the downside within us if we're supposed to see that 2008 kind of crisis, right? I don't know if you know, you can compare what's happening as a worldwide event to the 2008 financial crisis, and even this crisis was a little bit more contained to particular sectors seeing the drawdown versus, you know, the current market conditions. Everything is in a drawdown phase. So it's just really hard for me to think that, you know, we're only going to have a 2008 kind of crisis. But nonetheless, you know, even 2008 crisis means that we have another potential 20 to 30% drop coming up, right? And so with that being said, you know, I still do believe that many equities across the board are overvalued. I personally think Bitcoin will still possibly see at least the 5,000 levels or 4,000 before at some point, you know, maybe the second half of this year, then we start trending up, okay? I just don't believe we're gonna, you know, sort of V-shape recover out of this thing just like that. But anyway, so that remains to be seen. All right, you guys know my plans, you guys know my updates. So yeah, that's it. All right, y'all take care, and I'll catch up with you soon.